A new Minecraft dimension has always been a huge topic within the Minecraft community, with it originally being discussed right after the Nether dimension was shown, and ever since then it was clear that Minecraft definitely needed more dimensions. And even though more than a year later after the release of the Nether dimension the End was added, the community didn't really like the implementation of it. I mean, you beat the game and maybe go to the far islands to get Elytra and Shulkers, and that's it. Which left many people wondering, just what if there was another dimension? A fourth one? I mean, for sure people don't like the End dimension just because of how little content there is in it. So obviously people would want a new dimension with more content in it. Which is why the discussions on the fourth dimension were only growing in the last years, and the community had very interesting suggestions on it, so let's talk about it. Before Mojang even adds something in a game, they firstly need to make sure whether it can be a good thing in a game or not, which is why Minecraft feedback exists, where people publish their suggestions on the game. So before even adding a dimension, Mojang obviously had to make sure which one does the community even want the most, and which one will be the most suitable for the game. And as I said, there were some suggestions, so let me quickly go through the most popular of them. One of the most obvious requests is the Aether dimension, the developer of which now even works at Mojang, but this is another topic. The dimension itself is probably well known by all of you, or at the very least that one unsuccessful attempt to make a portal for it. In fact, it's pretty visible that Mojang actually made the End dimension kinda inspired by the Aether dimension, but come on, the End dimension is clearly just worse. Another obvious request was a Skulk dimension. There is also a mod that can show what kind of potential this dimension has, and oh my, does this look pretty. In fact, the Skulk dimension is actually even more obvious than the Aether dimension, aka the Sky dimension, as, I mean, Mojang literally fooled us all with that big ancient portal. Seriously, Mojang, it is so obvious that players would expect a new dimension after you added a useless portal as a decoration. Why not just add a new dimension then? And there were obviously many more suggestions, such as the Ocean dimension or even the Twilight Forest one. But another obvious question would be just, how should a new dimension be implemented if it existed? Speaking of dimensions, in my opinion, the Skulk dimension would be the perfect option, because the Aether dimension doesn't need that much effort to go in there. I mean, all you need is 2 buckets to make the Nether portal, find glowstone, and make the portal. What made the End and the Nether dimensions so special in the first place was the fact that it wasn't easy to go there. I mean, before the water bucket method started being popular, people had to find diamonds to get the diamond pickaxe and spent ages mining obsidian to build the portal. Or the End dimension, in order to get there, you need to kill endermans and go on a journey on finding the stronghold and the portal itself. But making a portal out of material that isn't that hard to obtain in a dimension that isn't that hard to enter either isn't a good idea in my opinion, no matter how good the Aether dimension really is. So this is why I think the Skulk dimension is actually an amazing concept of a new dimension, because as this mod shows, this dimension has a lot of potential. And given the fact that in order to get to the well-known big portal, you actually need to do a good search first, and to get to the dimension, I would personally add a few more obstacles. For example, I would add a special flint and steel, and in order to get the special flint and steel, you would need materials from the Warden. That way, this dimension would feel really special, as you need to do a good search for it, just like with the stronghold, and you would need to face challenges before you go there. So now that we have good obstacles before entering the dimension, here comes a pretty complex question. What reward should this dimension give the player? Or just what purpose should it serve in the game? As we have learned from the Nether update, in my opinion, if we consider a major dimension update, it should have a clear reason to come back. Nether has fun biomes to explore, unique mobs, things to do such as searching bastions or mining netherite, which means that adding a new ore or enchantment that could be only found in this dimension by killing a specific mob or looting a rare dungeon would be an awesome idea. For example, Mojang literally added a perfect reason to visit the End dimension, more specifically the End Islands, for the Elytra boss and shulkers. Both are very useful items in the game, and they are probably one of the reasons why the end dimension is not dead, which means to pretty much force people to visit the dimension after fighting the obstacles, it would be enough to just add an overpowered item that can only be obtained in this dimension as well. But you see, all of these changes can lead to slightly changing Minecraft's progression, and here comes the major problem. And the unfortunate truth is that Mojang doesn't really want to change progression in this game. I mean, everyone is pretty much used to the concept of building the nether portal, killing blazes and endermans to activate the end portal and finally kill the dragon. And if you play survival, then you most likely won't visit the end islands after beating the game. I mean, not a lot of people do that after killing the dragon, so that means not only should the new Minecraft dimension have really worthy items that actually give purpose to this dimension, but it should also have fair reasons to visit it either before or after killing the dragon, which means Mojang has to change their progression by a bit. You see, if they just add a dimension with their current progression and just add useful blocks and items, there is a good chance that people won't really care about it because it won't play a role in the progression either. And progression change, as I already mentioned, is one of those things that Mojang doesn't want to change. So if the fourth dimension existed, then Minecraft would have looked very different with a completely new progression system. If that would be, for example, the sculk dimension, and let's say materials from the sculk dimension would be needed to activate the end portal, then it would make so much more fun and make so much more sense in survival Minecraft. I mean, you should go to the nether to kill blazes and make the Eyes of Ender, then after that, find and obtain materials to kill the warden and activate the sculk portal. Go to the sculk dimension and grab something additional to finally activate the end portal. By the way, this was just an example of how the new progression might have looked like if the new dimension was really added. And this brings us to the 5th chapter of this video. Almost. Let me tell you about lagless.gg real quick. In case you were looking for an affordable and fast Minecraft server, then Lagless would be the best choice as they offer fast servers with a DDoS protection built in for the best price, which gets even better if you use my code NNH for 25% off your first purchase. So make sure to check it out, and we're getting back to the 5th chapter of the video. It really feels like Mojang has lost their interest in even updating their dimensions in the first place, as, I mean, the end update, for example, was requested so often that it really became a meme in the Minecraft community, just like GTA 6. However, in case of GTA 6, we at least know, hopefully, its release date, and while the end update is just non-existent despite thousands upon thousands of requests. And given the fact that an entirely new dimension with good reasons to visit it is probably harder to make than the end dimension update. And with that said, we would probably not see a new dimension in Minecraft. On top of that, with Minecraft's new update naming system, it became clear that game drops are Mojang's go-to strategy for updating Minecraft, which only lowers the chances of adding a 4th dimension in Minecraft if Minecraft even had the chances of a new dimension potentially being added. A new Minecraft dimension has obviously a lot of potential, whether it would be the Skulk or Aether or whatever. But as I already said, it most likely, I mean very likely, won't be in Minecraft at all because Mojang is quote-unquote lazy. But what do you think? Should Minecraft get a 4th dimension? Write in the comments. But alright, one thing that you should remember is that you are worthy and you matter. Love yourself, and I wish you an amazing rest of your day.